Hey guys, it's Red Marvel here, back again. Apologies, I've not posted on this channel for quite some time, so I have been recovering from the effects of COVID, unfortunately. So only just getting back into recording videos again, just my breathing and breath and stuff like that. So yeah, I've been meaning to post this review for quite some time actually, because I did watch the movie about 2 weeks back before I came down with the bug. Um, but yeah, my Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings movie review. I really wanted to get into it. So from what I from what I remember, so obviously this is a spoilers review. So spoilers. A spoiler review. It will be brief. But overall, I just want to start off with. For me, this was a solid movie. It was a solid movie, and I think the greatest thing that I liked about this movie, at least in the first half of the movie, anyway. And was the choreography and the sort of the appreciation of Asian, in particular Chinese culture in this movie was absolutely beautiful. It was stunning to see and to visualize. And for me, that was the highlight of the movie. The first half of the movie of this movie, especially when you go into obviously Shang-Chi's the origin history, especially with the Mandarin and what have you, back in ancient China, was absolutely phenomenal. You know, the fighting choreography I think was really good as well. Especially that bus scene. My goodness, man, that bus scene was great. It was so good. I could watch that scene over and over again with how that was choreographed. So for me, those to me were the highlights. Obviously, obviously the cast, obviously Simu Liu as a Shang-Chi now. What I would say though is my favorite character, Tony Leung. I think he's quite popular in Chinese cinema. But Tony Leung is the man for me. He stole the show. You know, you wouldn't even really feel it was actually called Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. You'd think that this was actually the origin of the Mandarin, basically, because that's kind of what it felt like. Because I felt that Tony Leung, who played the Mandarin, he really took on the role. I thought it was quite funny how they kind of played on the whole. You obviously got the whole fake Mandarin thing, and obviously with reference to Iron Man 3 and what's his name actually came back. You know, in that role, I think he was locked up for his part in that, which I thought was interesting. So, but good nod to that. So, but really, Tony Leung as the Mandarin, he did a fantastic job, and you really kind of felt for that character, really, you know. So they really humanized him compared to the comics. When the comics he's I mean, he goes through various iterations, you know. So he's now more of a businessman now, but you sort of follow the fact that he's been, you know, there for how many thousands of years, obviously with the Ten Rings, giving him power, which he was able to get from, I think, a warlord, until eventually he meets obviously his soon-to-be wife, and his wife kind of almost pacifies him. He kind of settles down, has children, etc., and puts away the sort of Ten Rings and his sort of empire army type ambitions, and, you know, wants to becomes like a father, really. But unfortunately, his enemies, you know, kill his wife, who's from a secret city, who are sworn to kind of protect or defend against something beyond this wall, i.e. the dweller in darkness. Unfortunately, his enemies kill his wife, and he kind of goes down a dark path of retribution, of revenge, you know. And he massacres, man. It's you just when Tony walks into when he to avenge his wife from these thugs who try to sort of to take in his turf. He's just like, he says to a young Shang-Chi, you know, I'm here for the revenge, just holding my phone, do my thing. He nods his head, and you just see him just swagger on and just be like, I'm gonna end you guys. It was so badass. And for me, the Mandarin Tone Long's performance really steals this entire show, which could be a downside, to the movie, because this is Shang-Chi. This is Simu obviously main entrance into it, and he was okay. But if I'm honest, like, I felt that he was somewhat of a forgettable villain, to be honest. I think he a sort of forgettable hero. The sort of, aside from obviously being the main Chinese hero, like the sort of the cliches, heroic cliches were kind of there. Okay, yeah, he was a bit funny. With obviously his really really good friend, Katie, I think, or it's played by the actress Akumafra, and is it Aquafina? Aquafina, that's it, Aquafina. Who is she's fun, she's a good tag along. She gets the bow and arrow in the final scene. But really, aside from obviously the scene when they they eventually go back because he kind of ran away from home. Then he reunited with his father, who wants him all to come back because he hears a voice saying that his wife is still alive and needs help, and is being trapped by her own kindred. And you find out in the end that actually it was this being called a Dweller in Darkness that was deceiving the Mandarin and trying to release himself so he could be free into the known world. And that's essentially it. They all team up, and it's a massive CGI battle in the end, and they basically defeat the Dweller in Darkness, and the film wraps up. I must confess that in the second half of the movie, it did follow into, it's like weird. It's like it followed into the stereotypical MCU cliche type of territory, and the final battle left a lot to be desired, to be honest. CGI dragon kind of type imagery, just kind of mass army like sort of fighting and stuff like that. That just really clashed, to be honest, with the first movie. I would have, if I'm honest, I would have much rather preferred they scrap the whole Dweller in Darkness thing completely. I'd much rather they had like maybe some sort of final confrontation in a nice choreographed fight scene between the Mandarin and Shang-Chi for sort of superiority over his organization. That I would have preferred that. That would have been really nice, and it would have been very different, and I think would have been more authentic than this sort of kind of generic CGI kind of battle that really left much to be desired, to be honest. And I didn't personally like him, in my personal opinion. So, but Shang-Chi is now part of obviously the universe. Obviously, in the end credit scene, you kind of find the link. We're not entirely sure about the origin of the Ten Rings themselves. Personally, for me, my theory is that I think that it might be Kang technology to kind of link that in. But I guess we'll see what happens. But I think overall, I thought this was a solid movie. I think you should definitely go and watch it in a cinema. But I think the first act, and or certainly the first half of the movie, was a lot better than the second half, which I think was bogged down by MCU actiony stereotypes and not particularly great CGI action sequences. But yeah, guys, if you're new to the channel, to like, share, and subscribe to Red Marvel, make sure you follow us on our Twitter and our Twitch page as well. Stay tuned for more content. Have a nice day, everyone, and cheers.